certainly go through cotton buds doing this work. Yeah, a similar problem to the last one. It's split. Oh dear. All right. Okay, I'll show you what happens. Is it seems to only be the supply reel, but I guess it could happen to either one. Is you take the hub apart. There's a little tiny cap that sits on, that's underneath the top cap that sits on the shaft, but when you pull it all out, there's a little tiny cap just here. You take that off carefully, and then the spring and the outer sleeve should fall off. But you probably can't see it there, but what's happening is that sometimes this expands, and that means that the little sleeve here can't go up all the way because it jams on the flared edge of this. And there's a split just there. Can't see it, but it's just there, and it's separated, and no easy way to glue it back together. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but the easiest way is just to simply file down the outside, which is what I do. Okay, we get a flat file, and I just file up each of the flat edges. There's no special requirement for it to be super flat or straight. Main thing here is that it doesn't interfere with the little sleeve cog that attaches to the cassette hub that stops it from going up and down, and when this flares up, that's what happens. Now it's still jamming a little bit just on the top bit, so even put a small angle right at the very tip just to make sure. Won't hurt it. Oh, I think we got it. Yeah, doesn't need a lot, just a little bit. Yeah, the crack is probably, I don't know, about 1/3 of a millimetre, but it's enough to splay the top apart and stop and prevent this from sliding up. And the other machine, the 482 that I had, it would only go up halfway and wouldn't engage the hub of the cassette and just rattled around. So something to be aware of now with this particular setup. We're getting pretty close to reassembling the whole mechanism now. I've given them a good clean. Motors checked as far as I can. Idler wheel. Now, these stopper rubbers, they appear to be okay actually, although there's still some dirt on them. I think I need to give them more of a clean. I missed it. Now we can put this on, I think, because this has to go on before the hubs, because this wheel gets in the way. Okay. Now, the do is a drop of oil down the shaft. maybe a couple. Right. Oops. Well, it's nice and loose. Fell out. Now, if you remember, I have to put on this very tiny E-clip. This little thing. And what's the best way to put it on? Oh. I think from memory, the best way is I start off with a pair of pliers holding it, and then once it's in place, I then hold it with my fingers and then push it on with something. Now I'm going to try and actually force it on with these pliers. Oops. Oh, it's fallen out. It's too loose. Beautiful. Yeah. I used a pair of pliers very carefully and just went and snuck it on. But you've got to be careful. Make sure you've got your fingers always around it. Excellent. Alright, that's on. Now we can put the hubs on. Now, do we use any grease? Oh, sorry, oil. Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea. Just a little bit down the shaft. Yeah, that's plenty. Oh, there should be a... I thought there was... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was going to say there should be a spring. And there it is. I thought... Yeah, what was holding this on? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. It needs to get over that little white plastic thing. It needs to stay there. So the only way to do it is I'm going to hold it down while this goes on. There we go. And this goes on. Don't forget to engage the 3 prongs. No, it does go on the 3 prongs, just for some reason it didn't align properly and it moved around. Weird. Yeah, oh, see, now it does. Okay, alright, fair enough. Right, now we put the caps on. Terrific. So let's try the battery, just because we can. Yes, the clutch working. The tyre is running reasonably smoothly, which is good. So, do the other way. Well, it's got quite a bit of torque there. Excellent. Right. Well, we're looking good, Elroy. Looking good. So I think we might have to think about now reconnecting the this to the front part of the mechanism. Yeah, we can do that now. Right. It's time for reassembly of parts of it. I've given this a bit of a wash and clean. It's better. I'm not completely taking it apart. No, there's just no value in doing that. As long as the operation of everything isn't impaired, it'll be fine. Okay, so the trick is to put that in there like that. So let's see how we go. Unfortunately, they don't tell you which belt's which. They just lump them all together. So it's going to be awkward. I don't even know if I've got the right belt kit here. What the hell are these for? Alright, let's go over it. There's the wrong kit. You know what I reckon? I reckon he's got the kit for the 1000 Tri-Tracer, not the 1000 ZXL. I reckon that's what's happened. I'm just going to have to pack up that belt kit, and the owner can do what he wishes with it, but it's no good to me. And I will, until we get new belts, I will put in the old belts back in. They're in reasonable condition. They're certainly serviceable for the time being. So what I need to do is make sure these belts that are in it are as clean as they can possibly be. So unfortunately it means using a little bit of alcohol and maybe a little bit of rubber renew. I might just use soap and water actually, so that I don't remove any of the plastics out of it. I'll get back. Okay, well, yeah, I've given the old belts a bit of a clean, and yeah, they'll have to do until we get a new set. They're not that difficult to replace. The one on the, you do have to remove the mechanism, but apart from the back plate for the capstan belt, you don't really have to pull it apart, but for this one you do. But it's relatively straightforward. So but now we can start putting it back together. We can now put the capstans on, and then this plate on, and we're starting to look looking good. Right, now got to remember which one goes in where. so. Now I can't remember which one goes in which. I'm hoping that it's straightforward. Oh. Ah, different diameter. Ah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, different diameter. Oh, wasn't expecting that. Alright, well that makes life easy. Where is it? So, to drop of glue down each shaft. Maybe just a smear on the shaft itself. That's plenty. Whatever comes out the front we'll have to wipe off clean anyway. Plenty. Yeah. Okay. Now, before I forget, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the cam. There's a little roller there, but and on this point here where the little fork sits. Oh, this is excellent for doing grease. Oh, so much better than before. And now I think there's another arm. Yes, here it is, that arm. And it goes in here, I think. Oh, there's always something. I've put this on with that in the wrong position. Once again, I've got to take it off. This is the third time I've had to do this because something I forgot to do. Yeah, I forgot the little brakes here. It was in the wrong position. It was stuck in here. Okay, it's right now. Okay, now this goes on here. Okay, please don't go on yet. Not before I do that, I have to take off all these screws, of course. Right, try again. Now the only things to remember putting this on is that this arm needs to go into there, and this little hook here on the potentiometer needs to sit over that little piece. Right, let's try this again. it's hard to see the this thing actually gripping the right thing, but with a little bit of effort you can see, and yes, it is. And the lower arm is in the right spot, and you can just hear it all start to click into place, and that's all good. Let's do one screw just to set it back in place. And now there's the belt. Right, that's on. Make sure it's all seated nicely on the plastic mounting points. It's very easy to strip these, so you have to be careful not to over tighten them. This one here is a little bit suspect, so I didn't tighten it up any more than I felt it wanted. When the threads are good, they actually lock quite well, but like that. But if there's any sort of give at all, yeah, you just don't tighten it up too much. Okay, we're looking good. Now we'll reconnect some springs. Forget how many, there's at least 4 of them. Not sure what these springs do. Haven't looked at the... Oh. Well, this one here is moving the whole head assembly. Oh, goodness. Wonder if this one does. Yeah, it does too. Oh, okay. Yeah, the whole head assembly is, don't know if you can see, but move that. Alright, so be it. That's the way it is. There's 4 and there's one more. And that is the main spring for the eject. Got to be careful with this thing, and pokes your eye out if you're not careful. Okay. Alright, yep, that's working now. So, okay. And the 482, the button isn't here, it's actually over here somewhere. And there's a cable that runs around and hitches up to this assembly here. So there's quite a few variations. That's fine. Alright, what's next? Capstans. Belt. Okay. Now we put a dab of grease on the ends of the flywheels. Doesn't need much. Nothing needs a lot, just a matter of having it there. Okay. Usually try and grab the belt with the motor as I'm putting it on. Not that it makes a huge difference either way. You always end up having to do it later anyway. You're meant to have half a turn from tight to when it's just touching, you then release it half a turn. I'm not quite in the half turn sort of person. I just like a little bit. To me, a half a turn is a bit too much. But you can't have too little, that's for sure. Okay, I think I've got that. Now, put this belt on. Oops. Try to get it up there. Come on. Belts are terrible things to put on. Sometimes they're easy, but oops, about to come off. Righto, there we go. Okie dokie. Oh well, we're coming along pretty nicely. It's pretty much back together. Oh, that's right, one more belt. This belt just goes from there over to there. That's it. From just there to there. And that's what does the counting for the counter, I guess. All these little holes and a globe and so on. Looking good. Looking good. Actually, while I'm here, I might give the heads a clean. Well, I hope these heads are in good condition. Without a microscope it's a bit hard to tell, unless I run my fingernail across it or something. Yeah, it's a bit hard to do that with my fingernails, or lack of. That feels alright. Everything looks to be in pretty good condition, apart from, of course, that capacitor muck cloud that went through the whole machine. But apart from that, it's, yeah, a bit of luck it'll end up being a really nice machine. Ah, the back plate. Yep, that can go on. Not sure if that can go on yet or not. Getting really close now. Get the back plate in. Pity it's not rear lit. You can get back panels that are rear lit. I've bought a couple myself. One for my ZX7, one for my ZX9, and there could have been one for this, but he chose not to. Right, now the next thing is the azimuth motor to go on. Yep. Right, it's almost back together. There's just a bit of soldering to do with these. Oh dear. Oh, you idiot. See what I've done? This is poking through there. And it needs to be on the other side of that. Ah, for crikeys. Ah. That means I've got to pull the whole thing apart again just to be able to push that through there. Oh, because it was just happened to be hanging on the wrong side of that. Ah, dear. Well, I'm not going to pull it apart again. I think what I'm going to do is see if I can... I'll just unsolder the wires. Even that's a bit of a pain, but still. That's a silly thing to do. You can't predict everything that's going to happen though. Even if I just unbolt it here, undo that, it still won't go through. I have to unsolder them. Oh, yeah, there's no way it can find its way through unless I loosen that and manage to get... what I'm thinking is to just do a little bit of cheating. Like that there. See if I can... see how clever I am. Or not. Right, now what I'm thinking is to loosen this and just push the wires through here. Only has to be the width of one wire at a time. One, two, three, one more to go. Ah, yes, got it. Well, bit of brute force. Do that up now. There for the heads. They go off into their own little whatevers, and all this has to be Well, this has to be sorted out here. Right, I'm at the stage with the mechanism now to solder it all back together. I unsoldered a lot of these wires to make it easier to pull apart, so I'm going to start now putting it back together, ready to reinsert into the main box. Right, I won't bore you with me soldering. I'll show you when I'm done. Rightio, I've soldered all the wires back together. Basically put the, I think it's a speed control pot, screwed it back into position, soldered on the black and the brown wire for a little switch at the top here, re-screwed in the little opto device for looking at the supply reel, soldered on the wires for the reel motor, soldered on the 4 wires for the capstan motor, wired on the single yellow wire for the cam motor, I suppose you'd call it, re-screwed on the azimuth motor assembly, and I think that's about it. I put the back plate back on inside. That's back on. The belt for the counter is on. That's about it, I think. So I think we shall put it back into the machine now. That'll be a big step. Okay, I've got my little list of where the wiring goes to, so let's see if we can just go through them. Okay. So the mechanism is in, it's all wired up, there's nothing not connected, but now we get to the front panel, and that's going to be a challenge. Right, here we have the front panel. Hopefully my little diagram will work and I don't have too much trouble. Right, There's quite a few wires hanging off this, quite a few. So I'll put it here for the time being while I slowly decide where all these connectors go. I've got quite a few of them. A lot, in fact. Well, I've got it back together. Unfortunately, there seems to be as many problems now as there was before, which is disappointing. I was hoping I'd get the mechanism running properly at least, so that and the fluorescent display, so that I could at least move on from there. But no, I'm afraid not. We can turn it on, and just briefly, the counter's not working. Very few of the buttons are doing anything. If we go fast forward, you've got to hold it in. Same with rewind. You've got to hold it in and play. It's wanting to start playing, but it doesn't. The main buttons actually do their job. They seem to be operative, which is good, but the mechanism isn't following suit. And it could well be that with the playing that I haven't put something back together right, or the fact that they are the old belts, it's still not working properly. And that may even be why the counter isn't working, for all I know. The loose belt that's in there may be just not even turning. But the problem is to work on the mechanism again, I have to take it out. But if I want to try and diagnose what's going on mechanically, I need to set it out separately and have all of this still connected. That is quite a difficult thing, because the leads for the mechanism aren't long enough. They're quite short. They're only like that long. They only just make it onto the bottom board. So if I want to look at this mechanism outside, I need to extend those leads somehow. That usually means putting in an inline connector